Welcome to another episode of Ask GCN Anything. This week, ahead of Katherine's Dirty Kanza epic, it's a gravel riding special. So let's get started with this one from Mark Snelson, who asks, what are your thoughts on flared handlebars?
It's a bit of a Marmite subject, isn't it, really? I think some people absolutely love them and have ridden with them for years and years. Some people maybe haven't tried them or just aren't to their taste. How about you?
Appearance-wise, honestly, it's a bit of a no. I'm kind of more traditional. I think like the classic round handlebars look good, whatever.
Yeah.
Utility, I haven't used them, so I can't speak to that.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a pair that I've been using for a few weeks now. To start with, it was a bit of an issue because I couldn't actually get them through my front door. But after that, I think it was descending on the drops on a gravel bike. They sort of really come into their own because you get that much more stable position. So I could be a bit of a convert, bit too early to tell, I think.
So like anything bike fit, don't really knock it till you tried it.
Yeah.
Might be good for you, if you can get it through the front door.
Right, what we've got next. This is like an age-old question in gravel biking. Tubeless or tubed?
Well, surely it's got to be tubeless if you've got the right tyres.
It's tubeless.
There we go, tubeless. Simple question, fewer puncture repairs. Next up, we got one from Mateus Barbosa. I quite like this one. It says, are 700 by 28C slicks on a normal road bike enough to ride gravel? I don't want to have a bike for every variation of soil.
Yeah, this is really cool because I think it's really important to remember that you don't have to get a different kind of bike to ride gravel. Most people will be able to ride like a road bike on gravel, but the limiting factor is going to be the amount of clearance that you have to allow you to fit those wider tyres.
Yeah, I reckon 28Cs are good enough for most stuff, aren't they? You know, if you look at, although Paris-Roubaix isn't on gravel, it's on pretty extreme, pretty different road surfaces, and the riders there are using 28s, 30s, and they're kind of fine. And sure, they are good professional riders, but if the tyres will stand up to the punishment in that race, there's a good chance that kind of whatever you can throw at it, they might be all right. So sure, once you've ridden a bit on 28Cs, you might want to graduate to something that's even better suited. Yeah. But will they be good for a taster?
Absolutely.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Okay, what about Boris Kovstichenko, who asks, what is the best tyre tread to use on different types of gravel? And he's talking about deep, loose gravel with big pebbles, compacted dirt, mud, etc. Probably not 28C road tyres, Boris, but I will pass to Katherine on this one.
Yeah, it's something, again, that we get a lot. Dan, also asking like common tyre width and PSI. I think there is no holy grail, and that's why there are so many different combinations of pressure, of tread, of width, and it's all going to depend not only on what kind of trail you're on, but the conditions. So if you're riding in the winter, for example, here in the UK, it's completely different to in the summer, and we're really lucky to have had some like nice, dry, dusty conditions, very like hard pack recently, and it's a completely different type of tyre to the winter, where you're looking at like absolute slop of mud.
I think tyre width, when you think about it, is literally the cheapest thing that you can experiment with on your bike. It's free except for a little bit of effort. So if you are unsure about your tyre pressure, you can just go out and experiment with it. And by altering your tyre pressure, you can alter your tyre width, you can alter how the tread interacts with the ground, depending what the road or off-road surface rather is like. So yeah, tyre pressure, go out and experiment, take a couple of spare tubes with you just in case, and go from there.
Yeah. This is a really great one from Dan Lancaster. Are gravel or adventure riders as vain as roadies? Sorry, GCN. Have a road bike, but not vain enough to ride. Bought a gravel bike and enjoying wearing what I want and not worrying about sock length. Lasty, what do you think?
Well, I guess, Dan, I'm sorry that your experience with road cyclists has led you to think that as a group we can be that vain and judgmental. I think it's really sad if someone is not, wants to ride their bike but feels they can't for appearance. If you want to wear no socks, I know we joke about triathletes, but that's genuinely absolutely fine. We love the fact that people ride bikes, and I think most, if not all, road cyclists have that approach too. Gravel riding, given the terrain, might be a bit, like you say, it might be that the appearance focus is a little, for some, is a little less obvious, because you're out kind of off-road, matters maybe less what you wear. It's not about aerodynamics.
Yeah, it's less performance orientated, I think. I really like it. It's pretty liberal when it comes to what you can choose to wear or use. If you want to go out in a denim shirt or use a bum bag, you can do whatever you want, really. It's up to you.
But yeah, there's a line in the script that Katherine hasn't read that says, if you're most comfortable riding a tank top, cut-off jeans and SPD sandals, then go for it. And the answer is, sure, while that would look very different from what a lot of cyclists would use, and while actually those items of clothing are not the best items you can use for the purpose, so, you know, like, they're going to be a bit less comfortable, especially if you're riding in cut-off jeans for 4 or 5 hours. Still, if that's how you want to ride and you enjoy road riding, do it. It's great. Or if you do enjoy gravel riding, you want to ride like that, do it. It's great.
Go for it.
Okay, next one. This one is possibly even more contentious with cyclists at the moment than what to wear. It's single or double chainring.
Single. All the way. I think it's one less thing to go wrong, which if you're in the middle of nowhere, which often you're led to in sort of gravel or off-road riding, then that's really useful. Save a little bit of weight, not quite such an issue. And I think the only real downside is maybe if you're going pretty fast downhill on road, you might spin out, but maybe that's just a good time to chill out.
Yeah, freewheel, tuck, go faster. I'm a bit torn on this because I haven't ridden, I guess, gravel. I've come from a cyclocross background where some people rode single chain rings, but most people still stuck with doubles. And I quite liked the range of gears that a double chainset offered, especially because I was particularly good at going slow uphill. So I really enjoyed that. However, I would really like to get out and try one of the single ring setups with a really broad range cassette. Yeah. Simon, our very own Simon Richardson, did a video on whether or not a one-by drivetrain was right for you. And a few of you thought it was, a few of you thought it wasn't, and it was extremely contentious, but it's well worth checking out. So we'll put that on now.
Before we get on to how, let's tackle why you might want to use a one-by drivetrain. Because for normal cyclists like you and I, there's less maintenance and it's easier to set up because you've only got one derailleur to worry about. It can also be lighter depending on the exact combination of sprockets that you choose to use.
Make sure you let us know in the comments below this video actually, do you ride a single ring or a double ring? And if you ride one or the other, would you consider switching? Look forward to reading your responses. Next up, Katherine, we've got one from CO Laser from beneath the Dirty Kanza training video, who asks, I'm dreaming of doing this someday, thanks for talking about training. I've got loads of natural melanin and the ability to build a base tan going into the cycling season, but you might not be similarly inclined. What is your plan to keep your skin protected during this event?
I think the only way is just a lot of sun cream. Factor 50 to the max. I've been recommended some Factor 50 lip salve as well, because that's important, decent eye protection, and just keep reapplying throughout the event, really. So the sun protection plan is lots and often? Yes. Because it's going through a bit of a heat wave now, isn't it, as well? Yeah, it looks like it's about 39 degrees Celsius or 100 Fahrenheit. So something that we're not really used to here in the UK. It's going to be fun. Yeah, I don't think it's ever been that hot. Okay, so we've got some more DK-specific advice. This one's from Nero Wolf, who says, if you're going to ride the Dirty Kanza 200, tyres, tyres, tyres. Pick the right tyres. Pack the maximum number of latex inner tubes you think you need, then double it. Yeah. I would have thought if you got the right tyres, you might need fewer inner tubes, but maybe not. Never ridden there. 1C. Get good at practicing, get good at or practice replacing inner tubes. You're going to be doing a lot of that. Hopefully not. What's your tube change time? You got it down to a minute? Ooh, never practiced. Sounds like a good challenge. It's about never practiced. There's about well, 72 hours or so. Got a couple of evenings in the hotel before the event. It's gonna be fun. And then number 2, with so many punches and flats, tubeless setups often fail on the Dirty Kanza 200. I wouldn't have presumed that. Let's hope it doesn't. Okay. So thanks, Nira. That does all sound like solid advice. Yeah, I am taking 10 tubes. Hopefully I won't have to use all 10. What does that work out? 1 every 20 miles? How are you storing 10 tubes? Quite a large backpack. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm hopefully not going to take all 10 at once. Oh, right. If I have 10 flats between the 50-mile checkpoints, then that'll be pretty spectacular. That would be. Yeah. Yeah. Very, very, very annoying, presumably. Are you taking patches as well? Yeah, and I've got those little worms, the tubeless repair kit. Super glue, Sugru, all bases covered. What don't you have? Okay, so Robin Hood, I don't know if Robin is trolling us here, but Robin says, number 1 on your list if you're going to do a gravel ride is buy a hardtail mountain bike. And I get that, because it wasn't until a few years ago that people just rode mountain bikes on fire roads before they rode road bikes there. And, you know, in truth, if you want to do something a little bit more extreme than gravel riding or gravel road riding, mountain bike's a good option. Yeah, for sure.
but I'd recommend that you check out the actual experts on that. So we're going to throw over to our mates at GMBN, who did a video recently on the pros and cons of hardtails and full sus mountain bikes.
Now, many of the top riders actually travel with both bikes. They'll decide which one they want to use depending on how rough and how technical that course is. So today I'm going to compare the two.
Yeah, so if you're into mountain biking and haven't subscribed to GMBN yet, definitely make sure that you do. Next up, Katherine, it's a training specific one.
Yep.
Something you've got a lot of experience of in the last few months for this event. It's from Pete Smythe, and Pete asks, when training for an endurance gravel ride, how much training do you do on gravel and how much would you do on road?
Yeah, that's a really good one actually, and it's something that we covered a little bit in the training and preparation video with Ollie, my coach. You'd have thought that you try and ride predominantly on gravel because it's a gravel event, but actually a lot of it is on road, and a lot of it is about building up your endurance and actually going from road into gravel, sort of preparing in a more easy way, because adding in gravel and adding the elevation makes things a lot harder. So I have been doing quite a lot of road riding, although I find I have to like intersperse that with a few off-road sections just to keep me interested, much to the despair of some of my mates who have been training with me on road bikes. But yeah, maybe 50-50.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's been your longest training ride in preparation for the Dirty Kanza?
On road, I did 175 miles.
Okay.
It was all right. It was pretty flat though.
That's still quite a long ride. All right, we've got one last one, and I think this is, again, one that is maybe more in the form of very kind advice.
Yeah.
It's from Kevin McGrath, who says for what long events like DK200, you could store a camelback or extra water bladder in a frame bag and use a retractable clip to keep the nozzle on your bars. Interesting advice. And also says, regarding a support crew, make sure they have cleaning supplies ready to rinse off your bike and lube your chain. We'll let our filmmaker know. Clothing and spare lights if needed, spare socks and gloves, extra chamois cream and a variety of snacks, including some heavier food like a burrito, sounds pretty good, or a sandwich. Also a bonk breaker snack like chocolate, cold soda, or, and this is a kind of pretty left field suggestion, pickle juice, which I'm guessing is for cramps.
I might stick clear of the pickle juice.
You wimp.
I have heard that there's a delicacy over in Kansas called a payday though.
What's that?
Which is like a marshmallow, peanut brittle, caramel type thing. So I'm pretty stoked about trying some of them.
Okay.
Might be a pretty massive sugar rush, but I don't know.
You have to have one per 10 miles just to keep the sugar spike flat.
On a high. But seriously, yeah, hydration I think has been one of the most difficult things to get my head around. So I can top up on water every 50 miles. So with it being about 39 degrees, that's a lot of water to carry. I've got 2 GCN Camelback bottles squeezed into my frame because I've got quite a small frame. So that's 1.5 litres. I'm going to have a Camelback Chase Vest with 1.5 litre Camelback in there. And I'm actually considering taking a few extra bottles to put in the pack as well, because the last thing I want to do is run out of water.
I think you're going to hit the point where you're carrying so much water that you start to
Sweat
dehydrate more rapidly as a result of carrying all that.
Going to be a mess, yeah.
Right, so before we go, we should probably let people know how they can keep up with your progress while you're over there. So you will be on the Global Cycling Network Instagram account, which we'll link down in the description.
Yeah.
And as of this video going live, there's probably around like 48, maybe 36 hours before you start. So good luck.
Or
Make
less.
sure you hit the thumbs up button. And if you have any last minute advice, leave it down in the comments too.
That'd be great. I'll be looking at comments.
And what video should they watch next?
Well, we've got the training and preparation. So if you're looking at doing a gravel event for yourself, we've got that one just down here.
And make sure you subscribe to GCN, because that way you'll find out when Katherine's vlog from Dirty Kanza goes live.